what advice can you offer educators on their role in supporting the mental well-being of BIPOC children and youth?
I think that educators are like the frontline workers. They spend most of the time with our children, with our youth. So as educators, I think it's important to educate yourself on racism, on everything that's going on, how you can be an advocate for your students. It's important to create a safe space in your classrooms, normalize mental health challenges, and intervene when possible.
I'm just gonna continue off of that too. I feel like for me, something that I've noticed is that I think, at least for the Latino community, I think my advice would be just to be mindful. I think sometimes we'll see children or youth or adolescents and we just see them as children or we just see them as kids, but I think sometimes we forget that there's a lot of other things that go on at home. At least from my experience, there's a lot of Latino children that are responsible for a lot of adult things when they get home. Some of them are caregivers, some of them help their parents work, some of them are translators for their parents. So I feel like we have to shift our mind a little bit on how we approach them, because a third grader that we see might be different from another third grader from a different community.
I would say we have to affirm our students' identities. We have to see them as their whole selves, not just a deficit or not just as a statistic. And yes, we know that is really hard right now to make sure that we have diverse curriculum and materials that reflect all of student bodies. And unfortunately, some of our educators feel like their hands are tied because of directives that are coming nationally, specifically in this county. But we have to stand by our values. They're stated. They're not just words on a paper, they're who we are. It's what makes us a community. Spaces like this with NAMI Northern Virginia, board members, people being involved and invested, we need to make sure that we're modeling it for our young people.
This one, it's a bit tough because I think if I were to say for educators, like if I was working with young people today, one thing I wish I had was given to me was a better understanding of just how to handle my parents' anxiety and depression, or even just being able to understand it and acknowledge that that's what that was. I think it's really easy when you're young to take everything that your parents or the grown people in your life do as a very personal and individual and direct thing to you, when in most times in reality it's a response to like the world being hard and very difficult, and especially in the context of immigrant parents having to take your kids from another country and bring them to another place and raise them in a completely different environment with culture, language, all that changing. And sometimes not even being able to communicate directly with your kids because they speak a different language than you. And so I think, again, I'm not an educator and I don't really have a good understanding of like how curriculums are developed, but if there's some way to structure or help young folk to understand what these things look like so that they can navigate it for themselves and can understand how to be a source of help. I know if I was in high school and I was more aware of this stuff, this is things that I'd wanted to have been, would want to help my mom or my dad with as they were going through it themselves. So I think, that's probably the most first thing that comes to mind.